In the last episode, Ed and Eddie caught Vegeta lacking majorly while he was sleeping. They finessed the Dragon Balls and had Dende use his knowledge of the Namekian incantation to summon Scott Steiner. After finding out they couldn't make a mass wish to summon all their passed away homies at once, Piccolo Jr. gives them fellas a ring on King Kai's banana phone and reminds them that it's Kwanzaa on Namek and it's only right that they revive him first so he can run Frieza's fate personally for what he's done to his people. In addition to that, if Piccolo comes back, Kami is revived and they will have access to the Earth Dragon Balls, which they can use to revive the remainder of the C team at their discretion. Gohan, more than happy to get his surrogate pops back, relays a message to Dende, who then makes the wish to Big Papa pump, consuming 2 of their wishes immediately. Before they can think of what to do with the third, who else but the Prince of all Tardiness shows up on the scene, more pissed than he has ever been, ready to wipe these scheming, height challenge weirdos off the map. Vegeta begins inching closer to Gohan and the rest of the crew, complaining through gritted teeth how they just blew their last shot to not get ran through the mud by Frieza when they blew those wishes without his permission. Prince then gives Team Little Bro 10 seconds to pray to whatever Earth god they worship before he gives them that Nappa special and erases them from this mortal coil. Then, in an act of absolute comedy, Gohan cracks faster than fine china falling from the top shelf and tells Vegeta that they actually have only used 2 wishes and that there's still 1 left. Even Krillin had to look over at little buddy and say, wow, you really just spilled the beans that quick, huh? Gohan is not built like these Namekians, bro. He is not about to take a nail level ass whooping for anybody. Little bro does not care who you are.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Hearing this ends up calming Vegeta down quite a bit though, who expresses his giddiness at the prospect of still being able to achieve immortality and then immediately starts calling Dende out of his name to hurry up and make the wish before Frieza comes and they end up on life support. After a brief scene showcasing Frieza noticing the dragon and making his way at lightning speed to their location, we're treated to a one-on-one with who else but the man himself, Ma Jr., aka Piccolo Jr., aka the Don. Piccolo arrives on the motherland and mentions how his very blood lets him know that this is his home planet, Namek. Bro wants to let out a little tear, but mentions how now is not the time to get sentimental and immediately picks up a crazy power level moving at ridiculous speed. Recognizing that this must be the Frieza character that Kyle-sama was wetting his size 58 Huskies over, he makes an immediate beeline to that location in the hopes of catching them before they can reach Gohan and the others. We then turn our attention to Vegeta and the rest of the crew, who are still extremely hesitant, to put it in the most mild of terms, to give Vegeta his wish for immortality. Vegeta begins pressing Dende even harder, putting his stanky ass Saiyan breath right in the little boy's face, asking him if he wants Frieza to finish smoking the rest of that Namek pack or not, because that is exactly what's about to happen if they do not get some pep to their step and wish for him to become immortal in the next few seconds. After an excruciating bout of indecision, Krillin finally speaks up and is like, look, I hate Vegeta's guts more than anybody in the known universe. He beat my ass, he killed my friends, and has a hairline that looks like the McDonald's Golden Arches. But Frieza appears to be an even worse threat, so he pleads with Dende to do whatever Vegeta says so they can have even the most minimal chance of surviving what's to come. At Krillin's request, Dende agrees, but right as he's about to make the wish, all of a sudden John Cena disappears in a flash of light. The sky lightens yet again, and what used to be the 7 Dragon Balls now resemble 7 stone jawbreakers as they plop heavily to the earth, leaving everyone in the summoning circle absolutely speechless as to what the hell just transpired. Vegeta finally speaks up, asking what happened, and Dende remarks tearfully that the Elder just passed, and as a result, any chance of using the Namekian Dragon Balls for further wishes. Vegeta is damn near at a loss for words at this point. Ultimately, he decides to do what he does best and externalize his problems on others, blaming the Earthlings for getting the jump on him. Right before he can proceed what he was trying to accomplish on Earth, Buddy stops in his tracks like he just saw a ghost. Krillin, noticing that he isn't dead yet, starts looking over to see what has Vegeta so stuck, and to their abject horror, they have come face to face with the monster himself, Lord Frieza. Frieza looks down at them with the most condescending, unamused smirk he can possibly muster, and I absolutely love it. Frieza then remarks plainly how it appears his chance for immortality has been ruined, and it also appears that somehow these losers in front of him managed to wipe the Ginyu Force, the most elite power in the universe outside of himself, off the map as well. Frieza remarks how in all his years he has never been made such a fool out of. After taking a moment to come down to their level, his facade of calmness fades and he expresses his intentions of torturing them all in the most slow and painful way imaginable before beginning his ki charge and showing them all what a mistake they made in making the creature known as Frieza angry. Toriyama was absolutely in his bag in this section of the story. I love how he showcases the kind of individual Frieza is here. At first there's this odd sense of calm that's plastered all over Frieza's actions, but through small things like the subtle changes in Frieza's Frieza's body language and facial expressions, Toriyama does an excellent job of letting the viewer know that this veil of calm and peace is faker than Bulma's Dragon Ball BBLs, and directly under the shallow surface of this is an unhinged monster capable of doing unheard amounts of damage to whatever he sets his sights on. Before we can get Vegeta and company in full frame sobbing at what they're currently witnessing in front of them, we cut back to everyone's favorite Green Man, who has also picked up on Frieza's ki increasing rapidly, and he realizes he has no time to lose if he wants to interfere with Gohan getting an all-expense-paid trip to King Kai's planet. Before he can speed off completely though, he picks up an energy reading on the verge of death and goes to check it out. Lying in front of him, looking worse than Rodney King, is none other than Nail. Nail comments on how seeing another warrior Namekian means the Earthlings made their wish, and he's happy at least one thing went right on the planet that day. Piccolo wastes no time in letting Nail know that he really does not have time on the clock to be chopping it up with dead men, so he needs to bounce before Gohan winds up looking like he is right now. Nail spits some more game though and lets Piccolo know that if he was at full strength and was a complete Namekian, he feels that he may be able to go toe to toe with that monster Frieza. Piccolo's quick to let Nail know a whole lot of good that info does him now, and he has no particular interest in becoming one with that geriatric green bean Kami again anytime soon. Hearing this, Nail makes a proposal. He asks Piccolo to let him get inside of him, and if he does that, his power will increase exponentially, and he may have a chance against Frieza's terrible power. Piccolo gives Nail a major pause, letting him know that he has never let another grown man inside of him in his life, and he has no plans on starting today. Nail laughs this off, telling Piccolo to look at him, and asks Piccolo if he really wants to find out the hard way how strong Frieza is when he could have had the opportunity to get a free power boost with no setbacks. Piccolo processes all this for a few moments, but in the end decides that as much as he hates it, becoming one with another man is his best shot at survival against the evil they're up against, and has Nail pinky promise to not tell a soul about what they're about to do. Nail then has Piccolo put his hand on his chest, and Piccolo begins sucking Nail up like crazy. But Piccolo Jr. got that Kirby and things are over in a flash. In a moment, there's no trace of Nail left. Piccolo then gets off his knees, thinks about what he just did, and then out of nowhere starts geeking after realizing the incredible boost in strength he just got. Piccolo starts thinking about how he should have sucked up another Namekian way sooner, because right now he feels like he could take on an army of Friezas. The English dub in particular of this moment is absolutely outrageous, because right after the deed is done and Piccolo realizes his newfound power, bro starts shouting at the top of his lungs these positive ass affirmations like his therapist made it his homework to improve his self-esteem.
I am invincible, and I'll show Frieza what it means to face the ultimate Namekian warrior!
It's so funny, y'all. It just sounds so unnatural, and dude is so beyond geeked about it. It's gotta be top 10 DBZ dub moments, and it's one I'm not gonna be forgetting anytime soon. After Piccolo's intimate moment, we return to our heroes who are quickly beginning to grasp the gravity of their situation. Krillin says the quiet part out loud, mentioning how after really peeping Frieza's ki charge, they are effed with a 12-inch pole and they should slap Vegeta in the face for ever acting like they had a chance in hell like this was gonna work out. At this point, Vegeta is still in major denial, and is for some reason convinced that at any moment his transformation into a Super Saiyan is going to kick in like it's some kind of edible. Vegeta then enters Cap City and starts telling Gohan and Mini Nappa that Frieza is actually the one blowing smoke, and with their raised power levels and his hidden Super Saiyan abilities, they can mop the floor with this man low diff. All Frieza can do is chuckle at Vegeta's delusional ass Mighty Duck speech and tells him that he is well prepared to test his Super Saiyan hypothesis, and charges directly towards the Prince of all delusions. To everyone's surprise, and even Vegeta's if you look at his facial expressions, he's able to match Frieza's current power and hold off the charge. Frieza then separates and through gritted teeth admits that Vegeta may not be quite as ass as he originally thought. Vegeta tells Frieza enough with the foreplay though, he wants the main event, and asks Frieza to toot that thing up and transform. Frieza's surprised that Vegeta is even aware of his ability to do this, and Vegeta quickly informs the alien menace that his buddy Zarbon spilled the beans as he was getting his cheeks renovated in their earlier squabble. Frieza agrees to humor Vegeta, telling him how his pops was light work before agreeing to show him his transformation. A cool thing that the anime does that the manga doesn't really get into is dive a bit more into King Vegeta and Frieza's relationship dynamic. Watching Vegeta's pops, who is this proud and powerful warrior king, get constantly sunned and high-key bitched out by Frieza on a regular basis, to the point that he promises to make his firstborn son an indentured servant to appease Frieza's whims, does a cool job of setting up the long-running historical conflict between Frieza and the Saiyans, and gives Vegeta's grudge and hatred of Frieza even more weight. And it's also in this moment we get our first reveal of Bardock, who at this point is just a nameless Saiyan warrior who got nuked by Frieza, but as we know in later canon is revealed to be Goku's father and has one of the most badass DBZ movies and backstories in the series period. We don't talk about the second Bardock film that came out. I promise you that version of the story doesn't exist to me, and we can make a whole different video just to talk about how that follow-up movie actually makes Bardock and even Goku in the Super Saiyan transformation so much more whack than what was originally proposed. Right here though, I will give an honorable mention to the original English dub, because in that version of things, Frieza tells Vegeta that he's unable to transform if someone doesn't count down. Vegeta is absolutely in disbelief at the request, but begrudgingly agrees and counts down from 10 to 1 at an absolutely ridiculous pace.
I'm waiting.
Oh, fine. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That made me feel like I was watching the English run of Yu-Gi-Oh or something. It was pure jokes and something I had to make mention of. After Frieza gets his countdown, Buddy flexes his cheeks and blows off his battle jacket. This leaves Gohan, Vegeta, and Krillin just looking at each other like that emoji with a monocle, thinking out loud to one another, is this dude serious? Bro really just took off his jacket, and that's what had us pressed this whole time. But ever the showman, Frieza was just delaying, because then the rest of Buddy's body starts getting absolutely bugged out until eventually bro just transforms into Satan, and the Z Fighters are like, yup, we're cooked. Devilman then lets his soon-to-be victims know that if there were a device capable of reading his power right now, it would be well over 1 million. And to give them a quick demonstration, the man raises his palm and nukes the area directly in front of them, almost smoking Krillin and Dende in the process. But Krillin's day goes from bad to worse, because while they are still trying to process what the hell just happened, Frieza is looking at them from below with a toothy grin, trying to decide which one of these meatballs will make the best shish kebab. Krillin must just excrete a pheromone that's like, please smoke me, because he of course ends up first to bat, and in a flash, Frieza takes one of his horns and pierces Krillin straight through the midsection in one of the wildest displays of brutality in the series. Now in the manga, while it's still brutal, Frieza basically just gores Krillin and then throws his ass into the Namekian drink below in a relatively quick fashion. But as we all know, sometimes the animators on the anime version like to add a little extra razzle dazzle, stuff like what we see in the Nail fight and later on in the Spopovich versus Videl fight. In the uncensored version of the anime, Frieza takes his time savoring Krillin's penetration. Buddy wiggles him around strictly for giggles, letting blood fly everywhere and even get some on his face, which he promptly licks off in a very self-satisfied fashion. I actually really like the anime's take on this moment. It's definitely leagues more gory than Toriyama's original version of events, but I think it does a lot to characterize the sadistic nature of Frieza and show just what kind of monster he is. He's not only someone capable of absolutely obliterating you, he's someone who's going to take his time with it and enjoy it, making sure he does his best to make it as slow and excruciating as possible. He's the kind of evil bastard that enjoys being feared. Little Buddy feeds off that. So deciding to draw out this moment of the anime I felt was really well done and helped to establish Frieza as a cold-blooded maniac who the audience will absolutely love to learn to hate. And not only did the anime take this moment to really establish Frieza, it also made sure to get plenty of blood splatter all over Son Gohan's face for exhibit 692 of why this kid grows up to be a pacifist, for all the people out there that continue to pretend like this little boy is soft for being the way that he is. And I'll admit that's messed up, but despite the absolute horror of what's going on right now, I got a little too long of a chuckle out of listening to Krillin's inner monologue while all this was going on. Buddy's voice is so soft and calm, and it's basically like the record scratch freeze frame of like, wow, this is really how I die, huh? Bet you're wondering how I ended up here. Can't believe I let these Saiyans convince me to get on a spaceship and come to this hellhole look for Dragon Balls. Hope you're enjoying your spa day, Goku. I'll see you in hell. Homie's just resigned to his fate. His voice never reaches above a 2, and the whole thing is crazy and definitely caught me off guard. Also, I'd be remiss if I forgot to tell y'all about Bulma's down bad adventures during this time. While our heroes are literally being killed one by one by the galaxy's most known threatening force, Bulma's on her little side of Namek complaining about a lack of shower, a lack of hair care, and most of all, a lack of a man. It's so crazy to me how the anime leans so hard into Bulma being low-key this boy crazy airhead. Now don't get me wrong, I know in earlier Dragon Ball, Bulma's primary goal was to find a fine-ass, handsome, rich man to spend the rest of her life with, hitting cheeks and collecting checks. But considering how the story has evolved, as well as the gang's collective circumstances right now in particular, I find it hard to believe that her kitty would be purring so crazy that she would be on an alien planet with her friends and herself in literal mortal danger, but the thirst is so bad she can only think about how she missed out on some Zarbon fussy rather than how they're going to survive this current predicament. She needs to check and see if they got tender on Namek. Real talk though, even if they did, pickings are pretty damn slim at this point, so she's going to have to hold that L and hope for the best when she makes it back to Earth. While Bulma's thinking about one type of penetration, we return to Krillin, who just experienced another and is none too happy about it. After going for a swim, we are treated to a DBZ classic, a rage-boosted Gohan who goes on a rampage with a direct assault on Frieza. All Vegeta and even Frieza can do is watch in surprise as Gohan treats Frieza to a flying kick to the jaw, followed by a nasty uppercut. Then little homie begins to tenderize Frieza's meat with some repeated shots to the rib cage, followed by a kick into the Namekian soil. Then Gohan takes a page out of Vegeta's textbook with an energy wave volley. Cue the clip if you don't mind, Seth. Before ending it with a devastating ki wave to Frieza's back. Vegeta is watching this and is overcome with confusion and salt at Gohan's sudden burst in combat ability, cueing yet another one for the cap counter as he begins to ponder if Gohan may actually be the legendary Super Saiyan rather than him. After Gohan's tantrum, Dende reveals that Krillin is alive and breathing, barely, but Vegeta quickly interrupts and tells Gohan that he surely hopes that he didn't think that single assault would be enough to body bag Frieza. Camera then pans to a Frieza getting back up on his feet and looking none too amused. He states to Gohan that it was indeed impressive that he was able to damage him, but it was far from enough to do any real harm, and now on top of it all, he's pissed. Things close with a heated Frieza setting his sights on Gohan and Vegeta, while Piccolo hurries to the scene in the hopes of jumping in before Gohan ends up with that nail special. And here, homies, is where we'll end off. Talk to me about y'all's thoughts on the hero's intro to Lord Frieza. Personally, I think this dude is a fantastic villain. Toriyama and the anime team as well accomplished something special in how they captured both his calm arrogance as well as his terrifying and sadistic power. There are so many twists and turns in the battle with Frieza, and I can't wait to go over it with everyone as things start to get extra critical on Namek. Join me next time as our heroes start to really grasp the horrifying reality of just how powerful Frieza is, while a familiar Namekian face makes a touchdown on the battleground and a face-off you're not gonna want to miss. Be easy, everyone, and I'll talk to you in the next video.